Hi, welcome to Live Your Bliss Masterclass. I'm so excited that you're here today. Today I'm talking to Lisa Shield. Hey Lisa, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Kate. How are you?
I'm wonderful and I'm so thrilled that you're here. I was wondering if you could tell us how you got started doing what you do.
Oh boy. Well, after I left my first husband, and I extracted myself from a 13-year marriage to a pathological liar, I went out and I realized that I had to figure out what was wrong with me. He had to figure out what he had done, but I had to figure out why I picked him and why I stayed with him for 13 years. And when I did that, I just worked with every teacher and therapist and whatever I could find. And once I was at a great place, I went online and I thought, oh my God, this is the best thing that ever happened. This was 18 years ago, so I was one of the pioneers in online dating, one of the early responders, and I wound up going on almost 100 first dates before I met the love of my life, and it turned out to be the best thing I had ever done. And because at the time people were afraid to admit that they were dating online,
Right?
yeah, they did not want to. It was like loser. And so I thought, I'm going to show people how to do this. And there were literally no dating coaches when I started, none. And so there may have been some out there, but I didn't know them. And so I really thought, oh, I plucked the title dating coach out. I was a transformational dating and relationship coach at
Mm.
the time. And I put so when I met Benjamin, he said to me, you should be a coach or a therapist. And I sold my importing business, enrolled in coaching training, and 16 years later, here I am. Love it.
Oh, that's amazing. So you really took like what was honestly a struggle and a difficult time. Well, you were incredibly brave if you were one of the like on the forefront of online dating, putting
On
yourself
the
out there.
forefront.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I can even
Yeah.
remember back when like dating apps came out and like
Mhm.
people's response, it was like, we just finally warmed up to match. I don't know. I don't know. So like, it's just so interesting, kind of like that connotation. So like, so brave of you to do that. And then it ended up turning into a career for you, which is fantastic.
Yeah, I had no idea. I mean, I knew I was on to something. And what was so amazing was that when I worked with all these teachers like Don Miguel Ruiz, the guy who wrote the Four
Mm.
Agreements, and, I did anything and everything I could. I was really studying Marianne Williamson's work, and, you know, and what I did was I took all of that. So I had this epiphany right before I dated online, Kate. I literally had this epiphany where I always knew that to me anyway, all paths, all these spiritual paths were leading to the same place, right? They were all going to unconditional love or God, but they were just showing us different ways to get there. But the epiphany, the new insight I had was that they were showing us how to do it now in this lifetime. And I always had thought, oh, you got to be an ascended master, you have to live 1,000 lifetimes, and maybe you'll be one of the lucky few who can do this, right? And
Right.
then one day I was like, no, they're showing us how to do it now. And so I was like, if that's for real, I got to go out. I'm going to figure this thing out. And so I dated and dated and dated, and my goal was not just to meet my soulmate. My goal, the thing I was seeking, was an unconditionally loving partnership, and so
Oh,
that's what I found.
that's phenomenal. That is so fantastic. What did you learn about unconditional love? Like I've read those authors, Marianne Williamson,
Mhm.
Don Miguel Ruiz, like they're incredible authors. And I know they speak into that. And I'm curious, like, what did you learn about unconditional love and how to like
Oh,
bring it into our lives?
great question. So most people are going out on dates with this list of all the things they want in a partner, and many people keep just adding stuff, like they have a bad experience or they go on a few dates and they think, okay, now I got to add more stuff to my list, right? And so I didn't think that that was the way to go at all, right? I mean, the truth is, everything I thought I knew or wanted in a partner, and I had not chosen wisely. And so I really wanted to just empty my cup and go out into the dating world and let this experience inform me. And so I decided that I knew very little about men. I thought I knew about men, but I realized all I knew about men was from a female perspective. I didn't know about men the way men would want us to see them. I knew men the way women see men. And so I started to open up, and I realized that there are as many men, there are as many definitions of what it means to be a man as there are men on the planet. And that each man is just a different manifestation of a man, right? And so I started to really step back and just start to really appreciate every man I met. Whether I wanted to see him again or not, I would get curious about, like, why do you do the things you do? And what's up with that? And so that was like opening up to acceptance, and to this new way of navigating dating and men and getting to know men and opening up to them. That to me was part of unconditional love, not coming in with my preconceived notions, but letting people, letting my dating experience teach me. And then the other piece of it, which is really true, I had worked so hard to just like myself, to love myself, to love and accept and trust myself. And so I wanted a man who was going to really appreciate and love me for who I am. And so I realized that everything works in reverse. So in order to get the thing I wanted, I had to first give it. So every date I went on, I would sit across from these guys, and the first thing I would ask myself is, can I accept this man exactly the way he is? And if the answer was no, I don't like the way, I'm just the way he dresses, or the way, his choice, whatever it was, he doesn't seem ambitious enough, or whatever it was, he hasn't done enough work on himself. He's not, we're not aligned in the right way. But whatever that was, if it didn't feel right and my intuitive hit was no, then I moved on until I got, so I figured I kept saying no and no and no until I got this one resounding yes, which was Benjamin.
Oh my God, I love this. So you just shared so much right there, and I have several questions from that. I know, sorry. But, totally how my little ping pong of a brain works. So when you were saying you approached men through the eyes of a woman, I was wondering if you could illuminate our listeners a little bit more on what you meant there, and if there's like a key shift that started to help you recognize, because like you said, I began to recognize men and appreciate them. And so I'm just wondering if there's something you could share to help our listeners.
So I think that as women, we really want men to see us and get us and do the things for us that we want men to do. We want to be cherished and desired and romanced and all of these things. And as women, we have a lot of expectations of how men should treat us. Mm-hmm. And I started to think about how men must have just as many little things that they're looking for. Like, it can't be all about me and what I want, right?
Right.
Like, we can't go in and just assume that we know what men are thinking or what they want. And so you asked me about a shift, and I had one shift that I think was my ace in the hole with all of this. And it was this. Instead of asking myself, what is male behavior and what is female behavior, right? I started to just sit back whenever I had to respond to something, or whenever I was, let's say a guy did something and I needed to, like he didn't call when he said he'd call, or he missed a date or something. The old me would have lectured him, because that's what I did, right? I would lecture. And men don't, I started to ask myself, is that really attractive behavior?
No, not at all.
Not at all.
Nope.
Like, is a man going to be attracted to a woman who's going to lecture him and tell him like it is, right? And so that became my go-to question. I would say to myself, Lisa, what is attractive behavior? And here's the cool thing, at least that I think is really cool about that question, is it's going to be very different if a woman asks herself that question than if a man were to ask himself that question. Mm-hmm. Because what is attractive for a woman is different than what's attractive for a man. Right? And so we're going to get very, like, if you're listening into the core of your being and you say to yourself, how should I handle this? What would be the most attractive way to do this? Right? A woman is going to get a very different internal response than a man would.
Yeah, that makes, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
No, that just makes me think of, like, instead of attacking and lecturing, it makes me think of, like, what if I just listened? What if I just opened the door for him to explain? Mm-hmm. Or what if I didn't even bring, like, judgment to it and just said, well, obviously something happened.
Yeah. Yeah. Or if you feel that you want to say something, how can you say it in a way that, one of the things I learned with men was that men are very direct. Like, if you watch men with other men and you see how they interact and how they are with each other, you can learn a lot about how to be with men. So you just observe them, and guys don't sit around and lecture each other. I mean, they get in, they get out, they're fast, it's like they say it and then they're done. And men, they don't beat around the bush. They're very direct, So I realized I came up with something called the one conversation rule. And it was that I got one chance. There was one conversation, and that, because most men don't like to repeat themselves. They hate it. They hate repeating themselves. They don't want to go around in circles. So my husband will often even say to me, we're starting to repeat ourselves. Go call a girlfriend if you want to talk about this.
That's fantastic that he tells you. So that's one of the things with men that I've noticed. They're super direct. They do tell you.
Yeah.
They're just not listening.
Oh yeah, women want to hear it 10 times. We want but you never told me. Like, I coach a lot of couples. Yeah. And so I'll sit in couple sessions, and the women will be like, they'll ask a question or they'll say something, and the guy will give his one or two sentence response, and then the woman will go, see, like, what does he mean by that? And I'm like, girl, he just told you.
That's what I do, Lisa. I'm like, he's like, he said it. He just right. Like, I heard it.
Right.
I can sum that up for you.
It's so silly. Yeah. So, but it's like, yeah. So I have the one conversation rule, and my thing was, to reduce it to the least amount of words possible. I get to say it once, and then it was literally mic drop and let it go.
Be sure to have their attention first, though.
Yeah, you get their attention, but then it's like, okay, this is how I felt about what happened. End of discussion, mic drop, done. Do with it what you want. That's my truth.
Those are just such, like, all of what you just shared right there are so many good ideas. Like, how can I actually have a conversation? So instead of, like, women, we have this really circular way of talking, and it's like, I feel like men are often looking for the headline where they're like, what is she what is she saying here? Like, I can't figure it out. So I feel like we miss that. And it's like, okay, look at how men really do talk. Like, they're either making fun of their buddies or they're telling you straight up right then and there. And we make it like, but what did he really mean by that? No, he meant what he said. Like, if he just said he's confused right now, then he's legit confused.
Right. Or if he says to you, I'm not really looking for a relationship, he really means he's not looking for a relationship. He likes your company, you're good in bed, it's fun to hang out with you, as long as you're willing to go along with that plan. He might even introduce you to his family and his friends, because right now you're the flavor of the month or the year, but
he straight up told you. He told you. Yeah, it's just so, and like, I know what we do. We end up in this space of, oh, but he's doing this. He's introducing me to his family or his friends. So obviously it means so much more. No, it's legit what he said. Like, yeah. And we honestly, a lot of us really hurt ourselves when we don't actually just hear what they're saying.
Totally. I mean, God, the amount of time and trouble we could save ourselves.
I know.
If we just listen.
I've totally done this with some girlfriends before. I've been like, no, we don't need to, we can keep guessing what's going on, but he already said it. I'm like, am I? And I know that's easier said than done. So I realize that when I'm talking about a girlfriend, I can step outside of my own bubble and my own emotional triggers and my own story. So I know that that's easier. But maybe we should listen to our girlfriends when they're like, no, he's not available. He said that.
Right. He just told you.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And I don't know about you, Kate. I coach a lot of men. So I just had a precious guy leave just a few minutes ago. And I love them. I mean, I just love my male clients. They're so much easier than women. It's crazy. But one of the things with the guys is, especially the men today, is that they're getting all their needs met without having to make a commitment. Mm-hmm. And they, for many of them, if they meet a nice woman and they're just enjoying the woman's company. I talked to a guy last night, a client of my husband's, who is going to come and see me for a few sessions. And it's crazy because he's really hot guy, so cute, so lovely human being. And he's a good guy. He's not a jerk, but he's he said, Lisa, there are so many great women out there. And it's I really do want a commitment and I want a future and, but I don't even know if I want kids. And he's like, I just keep meeting so many great women. He's like, I enjoy them and I want to have a future and I want to have somebody to grow, to build something with. But there's so many lovely women. And he said, so many of them will stick around and just keep sticking in there. He said, I tell them right up front that I'm not looking, that I don't think it's going to be anything long-term, and they still keep seeing me.
Right. So ultimately, when a guy says that to you, walk away.
Yeah.
Get out, because he is not going to change his mind.
It's so true. And this is a guy that's really looking for somebody. But in the meanwhile, while he's looking, he's dabbling with this one. He took, and I said to him, he said, I don't know how to switch this. I don't know what to do. And I said, the first thing I want you to start to do is to start to think about the effect that you're having on these women.
Right.
I said, because even though you tell them that you're not interested, I said, that's not what they hear.
Right.
And I said, I know you shouldn't be held responsible, but I said, they will look at your actions and the fact that you keep coming around and that, the sex is great and you're paying for all, you're treating them and paying and all of this stuff. It doesn't mean that you're off the hook. They really do think that it's going to come around.
Yeah, that is ultimately how women do operate. To me, it's always this: don't be a girlfriend if you're not the girlfriend.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
But
that,
but Kate, the thing is, you also have to have the guts. You have to have the chutzpah to ask the right questions. And I know lots of people will tell you, lots of even men will tell you that you're going to scare them off if you ask. If you ask about what you're doing or where it's going. But at a certain point, if you don't, you're gonna keep just being the okay for now girl.
yeah, and that makes me think like you've got to be able to handle it, because it does hurt to be told that they don't want you. And it does hurt if you like say something like, I like to take it slow, and they disappear. So things like that don't feel good. But ultimately, like how I operate is thank you. Thank you for choosing to exit.
Mm-hmm.
You've
Yeah.
spared me heartache because I am not going to be sad about it.
And the truth is, there are men out there who are going to want to be with you. But as Marianne Williamson says, if you keep stopping every train that comes into the station, your train can't get in. It's out there.
Oh,
It's
that's
trying to,
so good.
yeah.
That is so good.
It's out there. It's in the lineup. It just can't get into the stage, pull into the station because you keep stopping everyone that comes in.
Yeah. That makes me think of like, why is this? Like, why do we end up with dating and relationships being like we all want them? Like a lot of we're built for social connection, and yet so many people struggle with this.
I think that there's so many reasons. There's so many reasons. But I know that, Kate, I think for me and what I see is that probably one of the biggest factors for me was when I decided to become a woman
Yeah.
and stop being a girl. I decided to become a real woman. And I have to say, like, I have a resentment, not a resentment, but I have an issue with men referring to women as girls. And I think it's really demeaning. I think there's nothing sexy about a boy and a girl. What's hot is a man and a woman. And I worked very hard to grow up and become a real woman. And to me, I am so proud of that. Like, to be a mature adult human being is really a source of pride for me. And I don't hold anybody responsible for my happiness. I do that on my own, and I was not looking for any man out there to do that for me. So that was probably the biggest switch in my dating. And I realized that if I wanted to attract a real man, he was going to want a real woman. And that's what I got. That's what I found. So I think that people are incredibly immature. They're dating, I was saying to somebody last night that we all come into relationships with a bag of emotional garbage, and no man that I would want to be with would want to go through my emotional garbage with me.
No.
Like, I wouldn't even want my guy to have to sort through that stuff with me, right? No. I don't even want, like, I'm not going to do. So I grew up, I took responsibility for myself. I got therapy, I got help for the things that weren't working in my life. And, and I asked the right questions. And I mean, most of my dates, I went on 100 first dates. I went through them like that.
Yeah.
And I've been in a 16-year marriage with literally the finest man, the finest human being I have ever met in my entire life. Literally, like, I do not know a better person than my husband. Oh. He is, to the core of his being, when people talk, he is a true gentle man. He is gentle, but he is a man.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
I love what you shared about taking responsibility for our happiness. I feel like that plays a really significant role in a lot of relationships.
Yeah.
That when we are often like not happy and we keep putting it on our partner, they can't make us happy. We have to make ourselves happy.
Well, not only that, if I can add on, if I can tack something onto that, Kate, and this was something I didn't even know. Like there was no script, nothing for Benjamin and me. Like I didn't even know when I met Benjamin, just to give you an example, I sat back at one point and I looked at him and I thought to myself, this is enough. Like this man, this life, whatever the promise of this man is, this is enough to last me the rest of my life and beyond. I never even knew what that would look like. But as far as the happiness piece goes, I looked at him and what I realized was it wasn't his responsibility to make me happy. It was actually my gift to him to be a happy and whole woman. Because he had chosen me as his partner, we had chosen each other, but he had picked me to be his wife and his partner. And my gift in return was to be a happy, whole woman who was satisfied and happy and who he could make happy, but by being with me, but that I was right? I was enjoying my life. And so that was my gift to him. And I told him, I said, my gift to you is that I will sustain and take care of my own happiness because you deserve a happy partner.
I love that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And so like, I just like the reframe of it beyond just like, I'm responsible, but to like, this is something I can give him. Oh,
well, it was my gift. He deserves that. I love him. I love him so much that that's my gift to him. Like I want him to wake up it's not like I'm like, taking helium or like on helium or something. I don't know. But, it's not like I'm like artificially inflated.
Right.
But, my goal, like we wake up every morning and it's like I jump out of bed and if I'm up before him, I'm like sitting here waiting just so that he can get up and like
you so can share it.
I can see my guy, right?
Yeah. Oh my God, I love this. And what a beautiful way to greet the day. Lisa, I know you have a free gift for our audience.
I do. I have an amazing webinar that is it's a 1 hour webinar, and it is the 5, I wish I had it right in front of me, but it's like it's like conquer the dating world in 5 simple steps, and
lovely.
Who cherishes, adores you, and will love you forever. And it teaches you the 5 shifts that you have to know that I have seen. These are my secrets, but I know that all of my clients make these 5 shifts, and it is what makes the difference between them and everybody else out in the dating world, and it's really life-changing. So check it out, and at the end of that, you can jump on a call with me if you feel like you really want to just get on a call and talk to me.
Great. That sounds fantastic, because I would have loved to have picked apart what being a woman means. But unfortunately, this is only a 30-minute interview, so we couldn't really go there. So guys, scroll down. There'll be a button that says free gift for the link to Lisa's gift. Just click it. It'll take you there. Obviously, she has quite a lot of knowledge. And I have no doubt that those 5 shifts will be amazingly transformational for you. And Lisa, where can they find out some info about you if they'd like to learn more?
So my website is lisashield.com. And and there's stuff on YouTube, and there's, I have some things all over the web. So if you want to stalk me a little bit. Oh, the best thing, you want to join my private Facebook group. It's called Dating Without Drama. Just search for it. And request to join and say that you heard me on Kate's summit, because we really screen people for this group. So I don't let everybody in. It is carefully screened. And what did I want to tell you? There are men and women in the group. So that's what makes it so exciting, because you can ask questions and you'll get male and female perspectives. And you'll also get my feedback. I'm on the group a lot too. So I interact with people there. So that's a great place just to get incredible insight. People love this group. I mean, I get emails constantly from people, and lots of people, you don't meet people, like some people have dated from the group, but it's not a dating group.
Right. Okay. Guys, that sounds fantastic. Definitely take advantage of that. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope that you got a lot out of today. I know I definitely did. It's super interesting to think about how to start to appreciate men, and I love the idea of my happiness being a gift that I get to give my partner. All right. Bye, guys.